Had you ever looked up at the night sky and just thought, are we really all alone out here?
Mm.
I mean, it's massive, right?
Right.
The universe, statistically speaking, there's got to be other life out there, but it's like crickets. Nothing. We've never heard anything.
Yeah.
That's the Fermi Paradox, right? That whole silence thing, even though space is unbelievably huge. Well, today we're going to deep dive into this article that has this really wild idea. What if the answer to the Fermi Paradox is right here on Earth? What if it has something to do with bacteria?
Huh. That's interesting. Comparing tiny little bacteria to super advanced alien civilizations. I mean, it sounds kind of strange, but when you think about it, maybe there are some connections. I mean, this article, Bacterial Warfare, Fermi Paradox and the Silence of the Universe, it's suggesting that maybe we're missing something. What if competition, even cosmic conflict, is a way bigger deal than we thought?
Okay, so how does that even work? Bacteria are microscopic. What could they possibly tell us about life on a galactic scale? You know what I mean?
Well, okay, think about this. Whether you're a single-celled organism or some crazy advanced alien species, it doesn't really matter. You still have the same basic problems to solve. You have to store and transmit information, you've got to find some energy source, and you've got to figure out how to fight entropy. That whole tendency for things to fall apart, constantly trying to keep your room clean, never ends.
Okay, I get that. So even if aliens are out there building Dyson spheres and stuff, they'd still have to follow the laws of physics, the basics of energy, just like us.
Exactly. And to survive, anything that's alive has to be super efficient at getting energy and managing that whole entropy thing, the slide towards disorder. And a lot of times that means getting rid of the competition.
So aliens could be battling it out over resources, just like bacteria in a petri dish.
It's a possibility. And honestly, you'd be shocked at how smart bacteria can be when it comes to fighting. They've got some crazy tactics they've developed over billions of years of evolution.
Oh, yeah. What are we talking about here? Microscopic laser beams.
Well, actually, some bacteria have this thing called a type Z secretion system.
Oh.
It's basically like a tiny little harpoon at the molecular level, and they use it to inject toxins into other bacteria. Think of it like a microscopic syringe filled with poison.
Whoa. Brutal. But I guess that's how you survive if you're a bacterium, right?
Right, and that's not all. Some bacteria release chemicals that make their enemies turn on each other. It's like bacterial mind control, creating chaos so they don't have to fight directly.
That's wild. But how does this connect to the Fermi Paradox? So aliens are waging war on a galactic scale.
Well, the article lays out 3 pretty intense scenarios based on that idea. The first one is stealth mode. Kind of like how some bacteria go dormant to avoid danger. Maybe advanced civilizations are doing the same thing, staying quiet so no one finds them. Think about it. We're blasting radio signals out there, basically shouting, hey, we're here! What if the smart aliens figured out it's better to keep quiet?
So we're like the noisy newbies on the cosmic block, making all the rookie mistakes.
Maybe. Now, the second scenario is self-destruction, and it's all about resources. Some bacteria eat up their environment so fast, they end up wiping themselves out. Well, what if civilizations do the same thing? Use up all their resources before they can even reach other stars? Kind of a scary thought when you look at how we've been treating our own planet.
Yeah, that one's a little too close to home for comfort. We haven't exactly been the best caretakers. But what about the third scenario? That's the one with the galactic predators, right?
Yeah, that's the most intense one. The galactic predators idea says that the first civilization to get to interstellar travel might decide to wipe out everyone else, just to be safe. Imagine a universe where any civilization that announces itself gets eliminated.
Okay, that's terrifying.
Okay.
So instead of a peaceful galaxy, it's more like a silent battlefield.
That's the implication. And it's not like this is a totally new idea. Even Stephen Hawking warned about how dangerous it could be to contact aliens.
Right. He said sending signals into space could be like ringing a dinner bell for some hungry predator. Didn't he also say that alien visitors might treat us the way Columbus treated Native Americans?
Exactly. Makes you think twice, doesn't it? Are we being naive in our search for extraterrestrial intelligence? Yeah, it really makes you think about those late-night radio shows beaming signals out there, huh? But even if we decide to play it safe and, just stay quiet, there's something else to consider.
Oh, you mean that self-destruction thing? Like running out of resources before we can meet any aliens?
Exactly. The article says that even without any hostile aliens out there, we could still screw things up. If we use up all the resources on this planet or wreck the climate, it won't matter if there are friendly aliens out there waiting. We'll have already messed things up for ourselves.
It's like the biggest threat might not be out in space, but right here at home. So it's not just about looking outward, but, also taking care of our own planet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the Fermi Paradox is this giant cosmic wake-up call. It's like the universe saying, hey, if you want to join the party, you better learn how to take care of your own house first.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But where does SETI fit into all of this? They're still out there searching for signals, right?
Yeah, and it's caused a lot of debate. Some people say that any signal we find is probably from a civilization way more advanced than us, and, contact could be a good thing. Others, like Stephen Hawking, say it might be a really bad idea.
Oh.
It's a tough one. Like, how do you balance scientific curiosity with the possibility that you might accidentally attract some unwanted attention?
Yeah, it reminds me of that wow signal from back in the 70s. For a while, it seemed like we'd actually found an alien transmission, but then it never happened again, and now scientists think it was probably nothing.
The WOW signal is a good example. It shows how exciting the search for extraterrestrial intelligence can be, but also how frustrating, because even when it seems like you're close, it can just disappear. And it makes you wonder, are there other signals out there that we're just missing because we don't understand how aliens communicate?
Right? Like trying to understand a language you've never heard before. Maybe our methods are just too primitive and we need a totally new approach to listening.
Uh,
But going back to that bacterial warfare thing, is there anything we can actually learn from bacteria about surviving in a universe that might be hostile?
Believe it or not, yeah. Bacteria have been around for like billions of years. They've survived all kinds of crazy changes and challenges. They've developed some really amazing strategies for surviving and adapting. Maybe there's something we can learn from them.
Like how to be more adaptable,
Yeah.
how to expect the unexpected.
Exactly. Bacteria are masters of survival. And they've done it without spaceships or laser beams. They've relied on creativity, on working together, and figuring out how to use even the smallest resources. Maybe by studying them, we can learn some secrets about how to make it in a universe that might be more complicated and competitive than we thought.
So instead of thinking about bacterial warfare as just this dark, scary thing, maybe it can also be inspiring. Like it shows that even when things are super tough, life finds a way.
It's a powerful idea, and it connects to our own story as humans. We face so many obstacles throughout history, and yet here we are. Maybe by combining our technology with some bacterial wisdom, we can figure out how to navigate the challenges of the universe and, maybe even build a future for ourselves among the stars.
So that's cool vision. But before we get too excited about interstellar empires, let's come back down to Earth for a minute.
Good point. We've covered a lot today, from tiny bacteria to the huge and possibly dangerous universe. That's a lot to think about. But I think it's important that we talk about these things if we want humanity to survive in the long run.
Totally. It's not about being scared. It's about being informed and doing something. So what's the one thing you hope people will remember from this deep dive?
But the biggest thing I think is that the universe is not some fixed, predictable place. It's always changing, it's super complex, and there are always going to be surprises. We can't know for sure what's out there, but we can prepare ourselves, mentally, strategically, and even ethically to deal with the unknown.
We're not just passengers on this cosmic ride. We're part of it. And the choices we make, both as individuals and as a species, are going to determine what happens to us. It's pretty exciting, but also a little scary, isn't it?
It is. And as we keep exploring the universe and trying to figure out its mysteries, let's not forget the lessons we've learned from those tiny bacteria, the ones that have been fighting their own wars for billions of years. They show us that even when it seems impossible, life finds a way to survive, adapt, and evolve. And maybe with some ingenuity, a little humility, and a lot of respect for the universe and everything in it, we can do the same.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how tough life can be. Those tiny bacteria they've been fighting for billions of years just to survive. It kind of puts things in perspective for us, doesn't it?
It does, and it makes you wonder about something. We always talk about finding intelligent life out there, but what if intelligence isn't the most important thing in the universe? What if it's more about survival? Adaptability and resilience, like maybe those are the real keys to making it in a cosmic ecosystem that could be a lot more competitive than we realize.
That's a really interesting point. Like, we assume that being smart automatically means you'll be in charge. But maybe there are other ways to succeed, ways we haven't even thought of yet.
Exactly. Like, think about those extremophiles here on Earth, the organisms that live in those crazy, harsh environments like volcanoes or the deep ocean. They're not what you'd call intelligent, but they've found their own place and they're doing just fine in places where we humans would die instantly.
It's like they figured out how to survive their own way. And maybe that's what we need to do as a species, find our own path, one that's sustainable and adaptable. One that takes into account all the challenges of a universe that might not be so friendly.
That's it. And that brings us back to the one big takeaway I hope you, the listener, will remember from this deep dive. The universe is huge, it's complicated, and it's probably full of surprises. We can't know for sure what's out there, but we can get ready, mentally, strategically, and ethically to face the unknown.
So it's not about giving up on exploring or searching for other life, but maybe we should do it with a little more caution, a little more humility, and be open to learning from even the smallest and strangest things.
Well said. The Fermi Paradox itself is a lesson. It's a reminder that we might be totally wrong about the universe and that the answers we're looking for could be way more complicated and maybe even scarier than we ever imagined.
It's like a challenge to be okay with not knowing everything, to keep asking the big questions, and to never stop exploring. But maybe we should do it with a bit more awareness and a lot more respect for how delicate the balance of the cosmos really is.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's been great diving deep into this with you and all our listeners.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And to everyone listening out there, thanks for joining us on this wild ride. Remember, keep looking up at the stars, but don't forget to take care of things down here. Until next time, Deep Divers.